Every single build at your local weekend meet has some guy screaming about VTEC. Half of you think it is pure magic, and the other half think it is just a meme for slow front-wheel drive economy cars that make more noise than speed. Well, go ahead and tell me I am wrong, but most of you do not even understand what the system actually does. You think variable valve timing is all the same stuff. It is not. Standard VVT just rotates the camshaft a little bit to alter timing. That is soft. Honda did not play that game. Honda engineer Ikuo Kajitani wanted two completely different engine personalities crammed into one block. So Honda built a valve system that physically changes the camshaft profile and valve lift on the fly. We are talking 2 or 3 different cam profiles locked together by hydraulic pins when you hit the high RPM band. That turns a tame commuter into an absolute screamer. To understand why Honda built this badass piece of engineering, you have to look at Japan in the 1980s. Japan levies a strict tax based on engine displacement. If you wanted to build a fast car, you could not just throw a massive displacement V8 in it like an American manufacturer. You had to get clever with small engines. Look at what the competition was doing back then. Toyota shoved turbochargers into the Supra and superchargers into the Mr. 2. Nissan dropped turbos into the 300ZX. Mazda went completely off the deep end with the rotary engine in the RX-7 and later the RX-8. Turbochargers and rotaries are cool, but Honda picked a third option that nobody else had perfected for mass production. They decided to make small-displacement atmospheric engines breathe like race engines at high RPM without turning low-speed idling into an absolute nightmare. Here is the engineering problem every engine designer faces. In a regular 4-stroke internal combustion engine, intake and exhaust valves are pushed open by lobes on a camshaft. The shape of those lobes controls timing, lift, and duration. Timing is when the valve opens relative to the piston. Lift is how far it opens. Duration is how long it stays open. If you set up a camshaft for optimal low-speed driving, you get great fuel economy and smooth idle, but at high speed, the cylinders cannot fill with enough air and fuel, capping your power output. Set it up for high RPM racing, and the car runs rougher than hell at red lights and struggles to idle. Honda first tackled this on 2 wheels back in 1983 with the CBR 400 motorcycle, using a system called REV, or Revolution Modulated Valve Control, known as Hyper VTEC. They took that concept and scaled it up to redefine performance cars. How does variable valve timing and lift electronic control actually operate without blowing itself to pieces? Instead of a single cam lobe and rocker arm per valve, Honda uses a locking multi-part rocker arm and multiple cam lobes per cylinder. At low RPM, the engine runs on a mild cam profile optimized for low-speed stability and fuel efficiency. But when you stomp the throttle, the engine control unit starts calculating. The ECU monitors engine oil pressure, engine temperature, vehicle speed, and throttle position. Once those specific conditions are met, the ECU signals a solenoid. Hydraulic oil pressure from a spool valve pushes a locking pin inside the rocker arm assembly. That pin binds the high RPM rocker arm to the low RPM ones. Instantly, the valves open wider and stay open longer on the aggressive lobe. And to prevent the pin from rapidly slamming back and forth near the switch point, Honda engineered a hysteretic cycle, setting the switch back at a lower RPM than the engagement point. When Honda dropped DOHC VTEC into production, it sent shockwaves across the industry. The tech debuted in Japan in 1989 inside the Honda Integra XSi, packing the 160 horsepower B16A engine. That same year, Europe got a taste in the Honda Civic and Honda CRX 1.6 IVT with the 150 horsepower B16A1 variant. But America had to wait until 1991 to get its hands on VTEC, and Honda did not start small for the US market. They dropped it right into the flagship Acura NSX, equipped with a 3-liter DOHC C30A V6 pushing 270 horsepower. Think about that statement. Honda proved that cam switching technology could power both budget-friendly hatchbacks and a mid-engine exotic meant to hunt down Ferraris. Tell me another valet parking line in 1991 that had that kind of range. By the mid-1990s, Honda was putting DOHC VTEC into everything that moved, creating a golden era of high-revving Japanese performance. In 1992, the US market got the Acura Integra GSR sporting a 160 horsepower B17A1. In 1993, the Honda Prelude VTEC arrived throwing down 195 horsepower from its H22A engine. That same year, the Honda Del Sol VTEC dropped with a 160 horsepower B16A3 under its tiny hood. These cars were stupid fast for their size, ripping past 7,000 RPM while getting decent gas mileage on the commute home. Enthusiasts realized you did not need a heavy turbo setup or a thirsty big block to make an absolute unit of a driver's car. You just needed an engine that could alter its own breathing when your right foot demanded it. Now let us talk about the undisputed holy grail of the family, the Japanese market Integra Type R produced between 1995 and 2000. Under the hood was the legendary 1.8-liter B18C engine, cranking out 197 horsepower. Do the math on that right now. That is over 109 horsepower per liter out of a naturally aspirated 1.8-liter 4-cylinder. It was a higher specific output per liter than almost every single exotic supercar on the planet at the time. Read that again and let it sink in. Front-wheel drive Honda was squeezing more horsepower out of every single cubic centimeter than million-dollar exotics. Go ahead and tell me that isn't badass. Modern turbo owners love to talk trash about low-end torque, but when a B18C crosses the crossover point and hits that high-lift cam, nothing else sounds or feels like it. Of course, Honda did not just build dual overhead cam screeners. They all slapped SOHC VTEC onto single-cam engines like the D-Series and J-Series. But there was a catch that fanboys usually forget to mention. On a SOHC engine, the single camshaft controls both intake and exhaust valves. Because the spark plug sits directly between the two exhaust rocker arms, there's literally no physical room for a third center VTEC rocker arm on the exhaust side. Though SOHC VTEC was limited to intake valves only. That is, until Honda solved it on the J37A2 3.7-liter SOHC V6 used in the 2009-2012 Acura RL SHAWD. Engineers jammed in 6 cam lobes and 6 rocker arms per cylinder, using primary rocker arms with switching pistons and secondary rocker arms with return springs to give both intake and exhaust valves full VTEC capability. On those humble motorcycle routes in the 1983 CBR 400, to later advancements like IVTEC and IVTEC Hybrid, Honda transformed how the world viewed small engines. They took boring high-efficiency commuters and turned them into absolute track weapons with the flick of an old pressurized pin. Variable valve timing and lift electronic control proved that smart engineering beats brute force every single day of the week. So now I want to hear from you down in the comments. Is 90s DOHC VTEC the peak of naturally aspirated engine design, or are you guys still coping because your turbo lag takes 3 business days to spool up? Hit that subscribe button, drop your hottest take below, and I will see you at the next meet.